Lord, thou knowest better than I know myself that I'm growing older and will one day be old. Keep me from the fatal habit of thinking I must say something on every subject and on every occasion. Release me from craving to straighten out everybody's affairs. Make me thoughtful but not moody, helpful but not bossy. With my vast store of wisdom, it seems a pity not to use it all. But you know, Lord, that I want a few friends at the end. I dare not ask for improved memory, but for a growing humility and less cocksureness when my memory seems to clash with the memory of others. Teach me the glorious lesson that occasionally I may be mistaken. Keep me reasonably sweet. A sour old person is one of the crowning works of the devil. Give me the ability to see good things in unexpected places and talents in unexpected people, and give me the grace to tell them so. Amen. So this is called a prayer for the middle-aged.
I feel like you were speaking right to me.
I know, I know. Pretty much, it could have had sincerely Kathy Pollard.
Mm-hmm. That was great. I like
Yes.
that it had like a little sense of humor in there, not just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
kind of some tongue in cheek there.
yeah.
I know I have this vast wisdom and it seems a shame not to
Mm-hmm.
share it with everybody.
Yeah. You mean I don't have to give my opinion on everything?
Yes, no.
I mean, I should.
Welcome to Looking Up. This is a podcast for Christian women. I'm Kathy Pollard, and with me is Carla Moore. We're your hosts, and we're excited to be back together having another conversation. And so thankful that you have joined us. And today we are going to talk about be a sticker, and we'll explain what we mean by that in a few minutes. But before then, Carla, I haven't talked to you in a million years, it seems like. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, we didn't tell anybody that last episode we filmed on the same day as the
Mm-hmm.
one before. So it's really been 2 weeks since we talked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking there are different kinds of stickers, and some of them I like a lot, and others I hate, like stickers outside. We call them stickers.
Oh, those little
Other people
burrs.
call them grass burrs, but
Yeah.
I hate those things with a passion. That's what
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
talking about. And I ordered one of those Japanese weed sickle things that
Oh, you
was,
did?
yeah, I haven't used it yet. I need to get out there. It's been raining, which is great because it's kept the
Mm.
temperature down. But those stickers are, it's me against them, and I'm going to use that to eradicate them.
Waging war.
Hmm.
First, what was it several months ago? A hatchet or an axe or something? What were you
Yeah, that
going
was
out there
last
with?
year. Yeah, that was against the cedar trees.
Yeah. First,
But
you
these,
waged war against the cedar trees, and now it's the
mhm,
stickers.
yeah, and both of them are, they're going to beat me, no doubt. They'll be here long after I'm gone, but at least I'm going to have tools against them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So how was your vacation? It was, look, I saw a couple pictures, looked like it was fun.
It was. We went to Hilton Head Island. It was our first time going. We went with Roger and Joyce Johnson. So we had a blast with them and stayed up late playing cards every night. Went to the beach, ate a lot of seafood. Neil and I went bike riding. We
Fun.
went kayaking, and a dolphin and some babies came up near
No
all of us.
kidding.
So we just kind of all stopped and watched them in the water
Kayaking in the ocean?
and the salt marsh part.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was my first time. Neil's been before, but it was my first time kayaking and I'm hooked. I loved it.
I didn't know that dolphins came in
Yeah, I
that
didn't
close
either.
to shore.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, have
Yeah,
fun.
I was watching for alligators, but I never saw one.
I'd rather have dolphins and alligators. For
Exactly.
sure.
Me too. So we had a great time, and it's really beautiful. The whole island is really beautiful. There's not a lot of flashy neon lights. It's more live oaks and Spanish moss and brick buildings and lots of history there. So I do have some treasures to share with you if you want to
Hmm.
see.
Yes.
They have these cute little like art galleries and gift shops and things. And see this bag right here?
Hmm. Calhoun
This
Street
is,
Gallery.
yes. Well, Neil actually found this one. This is a hand pieced
It's a
quilt
cantha quilt.
from India.
That is beautiful.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
And it looks
It's,
soft in wrap up ability.
yeah, it's big. Um, and then at that same place, look at this basket.
Ah, yeah.
It
Like
is,
seagrass.
it's elephant grass.
Okay.
And it smells amazing. And the straps are leather.
Hmm.
Um, and it's pretty big and roomy.
Yeah.
So
You
he
could put that
actually,
quilt in it and a book and go out and lay under the tree and read.
yes,
And
yes. Neil surprised me with this one because we had picked up that Indian piece. And I saw this first thing when we first got there. They had some baskets out by the door, and I was drooling over this basket. But we just got that um, quilt, and then we went into some other shops. And when we came out to get in the vehicle, that basket was sitting in the chair of the backseat of the car where I was riding. So Neil surprised me with it by going back to
mm,
get it, um, and then we got some like typical touristy things, t-shirts and
hmm
stuff like that. But on the way back, we went up through Georgia, which is Neil's stomping grounds. That's where he
hmm
grew up. And so we did all the Georgia things. We got roadside peaches, we got boiled peanuts, roadside
That
steak.
never sounds good.
Yeah, Neil ate them. I didn't eat them.
Mm,
And then we found this cute little antique place, and look at this. I found these mugs. Do you recognize these by
rise
any
and
chance?
shine.
Yeah.
Rise and shine homemade biscuits. I don't,
Yeah. These are Hardee's mugs from 1984.
Huh.
So I just thought I'm hanging them on my pegs. I've hung them on the
hmm
pegs in the kitchen. I found three of these and I thought it'd be fun for the boys to drink out of when they come over. And then I found these cute little ones. There's pictures of
hmm
little green herbs all the way around it. And it says lavender, dill, mint, around the top.
hmm
And there were four of these and it came with a little wooden, mug tree
hmm
with them. So
And
just
that was
some
an antique shop.
Yeah, just some little fun things. So we had a good
Sounds
time.
like a
A good
good
time.
week.
It was. It was a great trip.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know you had fun.
Hmm.
Well, I've been doing lots of organizing mom's where she's moved from, which she lived in a little apartment next to my brother. It used to be their shop because he owns a heating and air conditioning business.
Hmm.
So it was their office and it has a shop attached to it. And it's in the driveway of my brother's house. And so she moved about 6 weeks ago. And we've been just trying to help get things organized and cleaned out. And so that's my mom just keeps telling me, I'm glad you're doing that, not me. She did a really good job through the last 10 years or so of kind of whittling things down
Hmm.
and getting rid of things that she didn't want or need. And then she did more of that when she moved from here and Dripping over to Doug's. But then now from Doug's to Hill Country Care here in town, she just has one room, of course, so she couldn't bring everything. And so I spent yesterday going through pictures because mom is a picture freak. She loves pictures.
Hmm.
She had every wall was covered in pictures, picture albums. So, what do you do with those? Because it's one of those things that you want them because they're memories, but you don't have
Right.
room for them.
Right.
So I went through a
What do
tub
you
full of
do with those?
pictures. Well, my brother digitizes them. He takes
Oh,
them
okay.
and puts them on. I don't know how to say it and sound smart because I don't know
Hmm.
exactly how it works, but he puts them on the internet.
Hmm.
So you could make a book out of them, which would be much thinner, if it was like a snapfish or shutterfly or something like that, if you want to put them in a
Yeah,
book
that's a good
and not
idea.
look at them online. But I mean, it's fun because I'm looking at old pictures of before I was born of my mom's family and my dad's family. And I found my mom's high school graduation, her diploma and my dad's diploma and her report cards. She kept a
Oh,
lot of things. Yeah.
wow.
So I'll just dangle that here, Mom. If you're not nice to me, I'll read your report cards to
Uh-oh. I
whole
was about to
open up
ask if
group.
she was a good student, so I guess I have my answer.
Yeah, no, she was a good student. But anyway, that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks is back and forth with my sister-in-law Karen, especially. I think I probably mentioned it the last time we talked, but it's pretty time consuming to
Yeah.
to move and to make decisions for someone else. That's
Mm,
that's what's I think the hardest thing is
yeah.
that they're not my things. And also she's still alive. It's not like she's gone. So I
Mhm.
want to keep what I know that she wants to be kept, and yet not everything can be kept, like her
Mm,
dishes. She doesn't need them anymore. So my sister-in-law has been really good about talking to people from the Butte congregation where they attend and other people she knows. She helped. It was kind of like her kitchen, went and helped someone start their own little new kitchen. And so it's been good, but it's also tiring too.
Yeah, that's a big task.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
You're good
it's a
at
good one.
organizing, so they're in good
Yeah.
hands.
I just showed you the chaos that is just out of view of this very controlled scene right here. If I turn any to the right or to the left, it would be bad
Uh,
news. So,
lots of bins and piles and
tubs and
yeah.
baskets, and this is for so and so, and this is for so and so. Yeah,
Mm, yeah. Well, good
but
job.
thanks.
Good job. Proud of
Yeah.
you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. We harvested our first lemons from the lemon tree,
I saw your pictures.
from the indoor lemon tree,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of exciting because have you ever smelled a lemon blossom?
I don't think so.
I hadn't until we brought this inside, but they smell so good. I love the smell of things like gardenias and honeysuckle. They have that same kind of sweet fragrance. They smell so good. Well, when I sliced these lemons, I made a lemon icebox pie out of them. When I sliced them and smelled them, you could pick up on that kind of sweet floral
Hmm.
essence, which I don't ever get from a store lemon. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But now I'm impatient because the rest of the lemons on that tree are about the size of maybe a little bit larger than a ping pong ball and
So how
very
much
green.
longer will they grow?
Oh, it'll be a long time. The two that I picked off, they've been growing for months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but there were only two. So now I have a whole bunch that all came on at the same time. So
Mhm.
whenever this batch is ready, I'll have a bunch of them.
How do
So
you know when they're ready?
they're all yellow. There's no more green on them.
Oh,
They
okay.
don't, what I learned is they don't continue to ripen after you pick them. So you have to wait until they're yellow. Lalo.
Lalo.
Wait until they're lalo.
Did one of your boys say that?
I don't know. I don't remember. Probably I did. I still do.
Oh, I
uh,
didn't know it took lemons that long to grow.
yes, it does. It does. But they also blossom continuously and it smells so amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying having it. I will say it can make the floor around the lemon tree a little sticky. You have to clean that up. And did you know that lemon trees have thorns
Hmm.
about that long?
I don't know anything about growing stuff.
Yeah, and they're sharp. So
Hey,
I didn't know that either.
did
So,
you learn the hard way?
well, yeah. Is there anything else you want to share before we get into our topic today?
I don't think so.
I'm not rushing you.
No, I'm low energy today. I was sick last week. I told you, and I haven't been terribly sick, but it's just kind of usually have like one day if I get sick, but this has
Mhm.
lasted longer than that. So
Took it out of you.
it did.
Yeah.
Guess I'm getting to be that old lady that you read about at the very beginning.
Not
I
yet.
do. I need to tell everybody I did get to see Alice, the one that I've mentioned several times. She had the stem
Mhm.
cell transplant. I saw her last week and she is making slow improvement. It's just a really long process. And I have learned a lot about cancer and leukemia and, what people have to go through and
Mhm.
just the processes. And I keep using the word brutal because I can't think of any other appropriate word, but
Can't imagine.
it's like you kill yourself so that you don't die. And
Mm. Mm.
um, but she is making some progress, and I think this will be behind her before too long. But I just, when you feel so bad, and I know she has felt so awful, and to think that it lasts for such a long time to feel that way, and it just my heart
Mm.
breaks for her. But she, like I said, she's making some improvement. So I appreciate everybody praying for her and hope that you still will. She's
Mhm.
still in Houston at MD Anderson, but she gets to stay it's an apartment. It's called the Halo House, I think is what it's called. And it's beautiful place. It's like very well guarded. I don't think is the right word. There's good security. So you can't go in and out without a mask. And um but their apartment is fully furnished and it has a full kitchen so they can cook things, and it's got these high ceilings, and I think it just has one bedroom. I didn't go back in that area, with a really nice bathroom, and it has a little patio outside so she can go sit outside, and there's chairs
Nice.
out there,
Mm.
and so she's not confined to a hospital room anymore. She can even go places as long as it's not like during peak time of the day. And
Mm.
so she's able to do things that she wasn't able to do as much before. So anyway, I love her and I just want her to get better. And I think her daughter Christine is with her right now. Um and so anyway, she's doing better.
Well, thanks for sharing an update. We will definitely keep praying for her.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome. And you're not getting old.
Well, I am.
No,
We all are in some way or another, right? Every day you're a day
no,
older.
no. Although I am getting klutzier, I have noticed when we were at Hilton Head, I smashed my thumb in the sliding glass door.
You didn't pull it out quick enough.
I didn't. Well, our sliding glass, we have one, it moves much slower. And this one, I used the same force that I would with ours and didn't move my hand out quick enough. And that
Mhm.
thing went, and
Oh, that hurts
it hurts.
bad.
It hurt so bad that I had to go lay on the bed. I had to leave everybody and go lay on the bed because I was just like, ah.
Is it gonna like is your nail gonna fall off?
I don't think so. I thought it was. I was actually afraid to look at it initially because I thought it popped off, but
Did
it's
you put it in
bruised.
your mouth right away?
I put ice on it right away. It's bruised and the whole tip of my thumb is purple and it's been useless ever since. So it's been a week and a half and it's still like I still can't. It feels like, when you squeeze the tip of your finger and the top of it gets like tight.
Mhm.
That's what my thumb feels like. It feels like it's being squeezed and it feels real tight.
I hope you didn't break a blood vessel in there or something.
Well, and the other thing, Monday, I made chili and I was trying it to see if I made it in the crock pot. It was bubbling and I tried it to see, check for seasonings. I blew
You
on it.
stick your finger in it?
No, I blew on it, the spoon a little bit,
Oh,
and then I put it in my mouth. Just immediately leaned over the sink like, because it was scalding hot. And I gave myself second-degree burns all on the inside of my lip.
well, that
So that was
ruins a few
Monday.
days for you.
And so ever since then, like I can't really drink something without putting a straw on this side of my mouth and it hurts to brush my teeth. And I told Neil, I was like, between my left thumb and the right side of my mouth, what in the world?
I feel your pain. That's one of those things like when you
uh,
burn your mouth and immediately you know, oh, I'm going to be miserable
yeah,
for the next 3
yeah.
days while it
Well,
heals.
things are perfectly fine. And then in a heartbeat,
Yeah,
I've smashed my thumb and burned my mouth. Uh, so
reverting to toddlerhood.
there you go. Okay. Today we're going to talk about be a sticker. And did you ever collect stickers as a kid?
Yeah, some, but I
I
think it
can
got to be a bigger deal a little bit
love
later.
it. My time.
Yeah. What, 3 years later?
Well, I had actually forgotten about that until I started thinking about this subject. And we used to have, like, it was like a photo album. We would buy different sets of stickers. And instead of peeling off the sticker, we would cut around them so that they were still, had the backs on them, the sticky
Hmm.
backs. And then, do you remember those old photo albums that would have that sheet, that clear sheet
Hmm.
that you could pull off and
Yeah.
stick your pictures in and then stick it back? Well, that's what we
Hmm.
would put our stickers in. And so we would have these whole albums, kind of organized with all these. I had strawberry shortcake stickers and little animal stickers, and then we could either put them in letters to our friends or trade with our friend. It was like a big deal. And I'd
Yeah.
forgotten all about that until this topic came up. So we're not really talking about sticker collections today at all.
Holly Hobby. That's another
Oh yeah.
one. Yeah.
I had the Holly Hobby Easy Bake Oven, my
Charlie
favorite toy
Brown,
ever. Yeah,
Snoopy.
yeah.
That was my era.
But we are talking about this idea of have staying power. Don't give up. Don't leave. Don't try and find something better somewhere else. Stay where you are and make it work. And before we get into that, obviously there are some caveats. You and I kind of chat about this a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, but we're not talking about when things needed to change and they never did. If it's say it's your church family and there's doctrinal issues in the leadership that just aren't being handled or corrected or whatever, you know, um, if it's in a marriage, Jesus gives that out for the marriage as being adultery if adultery's been committed,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can. So obviously there are some exceptions, but we want to talk about this idea of not just walking away, not being so quick to just walk away from something or give
Mm-hmm.
up on something, but instead consider the blessings of long-term relationships and long-term commitments and some things on the other side of that that sometimes we never see or get to
Mm-hmm.
because we walk away from things too quickly or we give up on things too quickly. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking how, transient we are anyway as a society. And surely that influences this mindset. But, in our homes, you always think about, well, you wouldn't want to do this, or you wouldn't want to change this, or move this here, or we take that out there because how would that affect resale later?
Right.
We're always
Yeah.
thinking about, we're not going to be in this home forever. How would that affect resale if we did that? Instead of, this is my home. We should make it the way we want, we should
Mm-hmm.
assume we're going to live here.
Yeah.
um, with our neighbors, I think I've shared this before. I ran across a news clipping about, is that even a thing? News clipping? Do people say that anymore? Probably not.
Something came across your news feed.
There you go. About how people don't get to know their neighbors anymore because they just assume that they're not going to be neighbors very long. They
Yeah.
don't think that where they're living is their forever home, and in another 5 to 7 years they'll probably be moving. Um, when it comes to the style of your home, like the appliance companies say that they have actually changed their how the quality of their appliances, because just about every 7 years we want something completely different. We want something completely fresh in our home, and so then we need new appliances to coordinate with our new theme in our home. Well,
Mm-hmm.
why would they make appliances last longer than that if everybody's going to go out and buy new ones in 7 years anyway? And then with cars, we trade it out every few. I'm saying we,
Yeah.
not
They.
necessarily
They.
not necessarily me on all these things, but we trade them out for a new model every few years. Things you have to upgrade your phone or your laptop, and we're just used
Mm-hmm.
to, oh, something better's come along, it's time to change, time to give this one up, this old thing up, and
Mm-hmm.
change. So you keep stifling a yawn. Am I boring you
Sorry.
to tears?
I
I can
told
see you.
you.
I can see you.
Sorry. I didn't
Rude.
sleep well last night. I'm sorry.
How about you
Fully
talk for,
present.
I think you should talk for a little while.
It's not you, it's me. I didn't think you could tell I was trying not to yawn.
Twice, twice I've seen you.
Okay, well, if I could just yawn big and then it
Go
would be over
ahead.
with. No,
Go
no, I
ahead. I
can't.
will. So there's nothing wrong with any of that. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think sometimes it's real easy for that type of mentality to creep into areas that really it shouldn't. We should have more sticking or staying power.
I was
What
looking
say
around.
you?
I was looking around our living room the other night and we had to remodel. We needed to anyway, but we would have kept kicking the can down the road just for finance's sake for a long time. But then that septic issue happened, so we had to. So I was thinking, a lot of people you hear people say, I walk into my mom's house and there's my room just like it used to be with the same
Mm-hmm.
posters and the same sheets and all that. And I think our boys can't say that because it's everything's different. But
Mm-hmm.
not that wasn't necessarily because we wanted it to be that way, but we are. I think even our generation is a throwaway society.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids, for sure, kids' generation, but like my mom's generation and above her, they held on to everything and
Mhm.
reused everything and recycled everything. Before recycle was a thing, they were recycling and reusing. And I know I've said this before that my grandmother would, if she had a little bit of scrambled eggs left over, she'd put them on the back of the stove. And she would always say, if some little man comes along and knocks on the door. But we just tend to want that something new and something different. And I really think it is um it's a mental thing. Like it's almost like our attention span. It has
Mhm.
something to do with our attention span, our need for things to be different rather than sticking with it. And some things don't really matter. It's okay to I like to rearrange the furniture. I like there's a lot of times I go to Goodwill and buy somebody else's things that they want to change and then take my things, um but I think what we're talking about today is more important, obviously, things that we need to stick with. But I think it's just kind of a mindset because we
Mhm.
are such a throwaway society and looking forward to what's next and the new and the better and the different because it has, I think our mindset it has to be if it's better new, it has to be better.
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily better if it's new. It's just new.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it, that we've become a throwaway society. And I think I've shared this on here too, also, but you made me think of my grandma and her not even being willing to throw away a Ziploc bag.
Hmm.
She would wash them
Wash
out
them.
and let them air dry and use them again. She reused aluminum foil.
Yeah, mom did
And
too.
yeah, and she thought it was ridiculous to use paper towels because you could only use them once. So, and we're just not geared that way. We
Yeah.
haven't, I think they had to be
Hmm.
out of necessity, and we haven't. We've lived in a very, um, what's the word I'm looking
Well,
for?
it's we live in ease,
Plenty. Yes.
Hmm.
A land of plenty. And for most of us, and we've just been brought up that way. We don't think
Yeah.
that way. Um, some of the areas that I kind of just want to touch on, we're not really going to discuss the different areas, but areas where this could be a problem, this idea of maybe not being content or wanting something better and newer or whatever,
Okay.
where it could be a problem: your job, your marriage,
Hmm.
your church family, church hopping,
Yeah.
your friendships. If conflict comes up, or something gets messy, or you find out you disagree on something,
Hmm.
uh, commitments, and that could be to, like an ongoing project or something, an event or something that happens more than once, good works. You
Yeah.
get involved in good works, and after a while, it's required a lot of time or work or gets tedious or whatever. So those are some examples where that could become a problem. Not having the staying power, not willing to stick with something. And so, can you think of any others?
No, I didn't really make a list like that, but I think you covered
Okay.
them.
And then I thought, what causes us to move on? And I think you've already kind of touched on one obvious thing, and that is just our society's mindset of this throwaway culture. But I thought of boredom. It's
Hmm.
like, I'm tired of this. I'm ready for something flashy and new and different. And variety is exciting. Variety is the spice of life, as the saying
Hmm.
goes. Another thing that could cause us to want to leave or move on is challenges. So, think about that in your marriage or your church family. There could be a relational conflict. There could be something hard came up in the work that you weren't expecting. And instead of just staying and trying to grow through it and grow from it and learn how to deal with it and do the hard things or have the hard conversations, we just pick up and go find another one.
Yeah.
Slow progress, I thought, might
Yeah.
be
Oh,
another one.
that's a
if
good one.
you're if you're putting effort towards something or trying something new or doing good works and you just don't really see a huge return, your what is it,
Hmm.
ROI, return on investment,
Yeah.
isn't
You want a big
isn't
bang for your buck.
yeah, isn't as big as you'd like it to be. That can cause you to want to give up. Discouragement, you know, they say you should never make a big decision on a blue day, but I think discouragement has caused a lot of us to do
Oh, yeah.
just that.
Hmm.
which can lead to regret later.
Mm-hmm.
And then the desire for something new. So,
Yeah. I wrote down discomfort.
mm-hmm,
What makes us want to give up or seek change? I wrote down several things, but one of them is discomfort.
mm-hmm,
And I just think we don't like being uncomfortable. That whole
mm-hmm,
comfort zone thing,
mm-hmm.
or if
Good one.
something or
Mm-hmm,
someone makes us feel bad about whatever, and we just immediately shut that down because we're not going to feel that feeling,
mm-hmm,
and we move on to something else rather than, taking the time to sit in it sometimes and analyze why we feel the way we feel. There's people that just don't like feelings unless they're good feelings.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, I know people like that. I've considered this before because you just see them almost like, you know, I think of a racquetball court, it just zings the other way because people that don't like to feel
Mm-hmm.
anything negative, it just sends them bouncing the other way. And I think a lot of times what you're talking about, this topic, that's one thing. Every this this saying just comes, it's so appropriate for so many different settings, but that uh, expectations are premeditated resentments. So
Mm-hmm.
if our expectation is not met with whatever it is that we're talking about here, then we resent it and we want something different. Or maybe we could put a different word in there besides resentment. Expectations might be premeditated, um,
Mm-hmm.
not disaster is not the right word, but just something to give up on.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something else.
Well, it
And
can lead to disillusionment.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Um, I couldn't help thinking, and just in full disclosure for everyone listening, Kathy and I talked about we have friends who have made changes, and we both have worked in the preaching school setting and Bible school settings where we don't want anybody to think we're talking directly at them. We're not. Just take our word for it. We're not talking directly to anybody. This is not a bully pulpit. This is a discussion between Kathy and I. But I couldn't help but think about the 1994, 04, 14, 30 years that John and I have spent in schools of ministry, and the many situations where a man graduates from the school and goes on to work with a congregation. And after a year, when things don't feel right, they don't, um, the leadership makes a decision that they don't agree with, or they don't see the results like you were talking about. Maybe they're discouraged. It just wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And they're ready to move on, and not just move on, they're ready to get out of ministry altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And that's discouraging to me, to think that there are so many who are willing to give up on ministry after a year of, when really a year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years could be
Mm-hmm.
spent learning and growing. And, um, there's just so many blessings that come from, like you said, when we stick with it. I think about Fred and Pam Nowell, good friends of ours that came from New Hampshire to preaching school in about 2000, came to Texas, and they went back to the Northeast area and took a job, and really they had a lot of struggles at first, but they are still there in the very first work that they went to.
Wow.
And so talk about sticking with it and staying power.
Mm-hmm.
They've had it, and they have had plenty of problems and plenty of personality issues, others that
Mm-hmm.
didn't like them or didn't agree with them, or leadership. I don't know if they have elders now, but I know they didn't for a while. So I think, I want to encourage those who are young in ministry to find a mentor who's been in it for a good long while, and listen to them and let them help kind of guide you through it, and show you that, not every day is going to be rosy, but
Mm-hmm.
we weren't promised that. We're working with people who are human and have troubles and struggles. And so I guess that's kind of one of the areas where my mind went when you brought this topic up.
Well, and I think too that, you know, coming from personal experience here, when you first go to a new work, it's the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody calls it because everybody loves you.
They don't know your
And
secrets. You don't
and
know
they're
theirs.
they're cooking for you and taking you out to eat and bringing you presents and plants and helping you with things, and they're just so happy that you're here and you're
Hmm.
wonderful and blah 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 blah. And then they get to know you,
Yeah.
and you know what, we're not perfect, and all of a sudden they're not fawning over us anymore, or they're not showing us all this attention, or maybe they're even disappointed
Hmm.
in our efforts somehow,
Yeah.
and maybe they have to call us out on something. Maybe we dropped the ball, we disappointed somebody, we made a mistake, things like that happen, and that honeymoon kind of shifts into something else, but you have to work through that. Everybody wants to be fawned over all the time, but that's not real life. Just like in marriage, the real honeymoon phase, and then the couple lives together
Hmm.
and they're like, why does he chew with his mouth open? And any number of things, or why is she always spontaneous? Why does he take forever? Why is he so deliberate? All these things come into play, and you start learning things about each other, and the honeymoon is over.
Hmm.
But ask any couple that's been together for 50 plus years, and it wasn't because it was all a honeymoon. It was because
Hmm.
they had staying power and
Right.
they worked through those things. It didn't always feel like they were fawning all over each other all the time,
Hmm.
surely, but
Yeah.
they worked through those things. And as a result, grew this steadfast, beautiful relationship. And I think it's the same in ministry. Of course, we want everybody to be thrilled that we're there
Hmm.
all the time and happy, but that's just not realistic.
Right.
And things are going to happen and things are going to come up, and we're probably going to make some people, not everybody's going to love us, and we're going to make some people mad, and things just happen. You can't run away every time something like that happens. You want to work through it to create
Hmm.
those beautiful steadfast relationships.
Exactly. I was
uh,
watching I was watching Paul and Alice. Paul is her husband's name. Um, and I don't know, they've been married 30 some odd years. Um, and I was looking at the row of medicine bottles on their coffee table,
mm,
all the things that she's having to take, anti-rejection drugs and antibiotic, whatever she's having to take. And I said something to Paul about, I bet you could probably get your nursing degree by now with all of the things that you've learned over the past 2 months plus. And he laughed and said, "Yeah, I think I probably could." And he was talking about at one point that she had a nosebleed. Sorry if this is too much, but he's trying to help her with the nosebleed, and it just kept getting worse. Didn't have platelets and no clotting ability, um and what they had to do to finally stop it. And then she's been sick, and I was just watching Alice while Paul was talking, and she's just looking at him, and you think about, and I could just see love. You just
mhm,
see gratitude and love coming from her eyes because he stuck with her. And
mm,
of course, we don't think that someone's going to just desert you in a time of need like that, but we do. I mean,
mhm,
when you think about it, it might not be as dire a circumstance, or it might not seem to be as dire a circumstance, but these relationships, church relationships especially, that we don't maintain that commitment to, and we walk away from, it might not feel like it's, someone's going to die. Like if Paul walked away from her in some of those situations, she probably wouldn't have survived. And spiritually speaking, there are probably some situations that we walk away from when someone may spiritually die if they don't have your support and your help. And we just don't see that. We don't see
mhm,
it as being a dire situation.
mhm,
And, that may sound a little melodramatic because people do bear their own responsibility
mhm,
for their own relationship with God. But I think that God put us in each other's lives to help one another. And if we're not willing to have this sticking power,
mhm.
then we're not providing what God put us here to do. So it's a serious thing.
It is. And again, sometimes that decision is taken out of your hands
Right.
and you have no say in the matter, no control in the
Hmm.
matter. And we certainly understand that. But
Yeah.
I think about occasions where people have given up on, fill in the blank. ministry, job, relationships, whatever, in under 3 years. And they say that it takes at least 3 years just to really get to know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, committing to something for at least that long is going to help you find out where you really stand, what you really understand about each other,
Mm-hmm.
and where you can grow from here. But how many times do we not even make it that far? We just give up. No, no,
Yeah.
this isn't for me. This isn't what I thought it was. Never
Mm-hmm.
mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
And you mentioned those church relationships and friendships. They're so important. I think God gave them to us because we need each other. But things are going to happen because we're sinful and we're humans, and we will let each other down or hurt each other's feelings, probably unintentionally. But it's going to happen. And how sad to let go or walk away from a relationship because you think, oh, well, never mind. Instead of seeing the value and beauty that can come from working through this, extending
Mm-hmm.
some grace, growing through it, and seeing what happens on the other side.
Yeah. Just thinking about their situations, and I've heard about lots of them where I'm sure there's people out there saying, but you can't be a doormat. You
Mm-hmm.
can't let people walk all over you. You can't, um, there's all these stipulations that we put out there before I'm going to lay my heart out for you. You have to do that for me, or you have
Mm-hmm.
to prove that you're worthy of that. And I know there are situations where you have to have those boundaries, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I've seen it. I've got some, but I think we are really quick to throw those out there and be demand people behave a certain way or speak a certain way or whatever, and we have to, that Romans 12 passage just keeps coming back to my mind over and over again about go first and lead the way, outdo one another in showing honor, and that one of the definitions of that is go first and lead the way. And I think this is an area where we can go first and lead the way, is by sticking with our relationships and sticking with our commitments and with our um obviously our marriages and our church family. So
Well, maybe we forget that whatever we're walking away from to chase something newer and re experience that honeymoon feeling is still going to turn out the same way. It's still going to, at some point, not be new and
mhm.
not be exciting and be through with the honeymoon phase. So you're just going to keep chasing that
Yeah.
elusive feeling of newness, excitement, and just
Well, and I know
seems a
you
little
feel,
shallow.
yeah, and I know you feel this way, but the honeymoon was fun, but what we have now is way better than the honeymoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was good. Very good. Okay, so then I thought, why should we stay? Why should we be a sticker? And first of all, I was thinking real growth and progress takes time, which we've kind of already touched on a little bit. But isn't that true in almost every worthwhile area? In every area that matters, there's rarely is there such thing as overnight success. And to grow in something, learn something, become good at something, build something, it just takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot when we give up on something before we even get a chance. We put the time into it.
Mm-hmm.
Development and maturity that come from problem solving and resolving conflict, those things are no fun. And I imagine, you, me, a lot of our listeners, we don't really enjoy conflict or confrontation at
Mm-mm.
all. We'd rather avoid it at all costs. But sometimes it's unavoidable. And God addresses it in the word with how to handle it, directly, lovingly. And, if you can recall in your mind a specific situation where that did happen and you didn't run away from it or bury it, you handled it in a godly way and worked through it, chances are your relationship with that person or your experience in that situation is better
Better.
than
Mm-hmm.
it was. And even if it's not, how much did you grow in maturity
Mm-hmm.
and, being an example? Character improvement. Ugh. Uh,
That
it's
sounds like something your parent tells you, I'm doing this for your so that
This
you
is
can
for
improve
your
your
own
character.
good. That's right. This is why you go out and pull weeds. It's good for you.
And
Exactly.
it's good for me too.
Yeah. I mean, we all stay for the easy stuff, when things are new.
Yeah.
The in sickness and in health part of the vows that we take in marriage, the health part is the easy part. But when it's sick and, you know, gruesome and messy
Hmm.
and that's not fun. That doesn't even smell good. But here I am staying. I could share some pretty gross stories of some things that Neil's put up with being married to me. But there he was, staying. And I think it helps us grow our character and keep us from being so self absorbed. It's not all about just being with you for the fun times.
Hmm.
Um, Deeper meaning and moments and memories
Hmm.
and whatever situation we're talking about,
Hmm.
church, family, relationships, job, whatever.
Don't you think
Uh,
it offers, let's see if I can say this right. It offers you the opportunity to see someone in a different light when, say it's um, a church situation where you have to sit down with some other people, you have to have a meeting. And when the other person that asks you to sit down at this meeting, when you can see them in the setting of everyone takes a deep breath, everyone's calm, we pray before we talk about things, and we are clear headed and we speak to one another with respect, um, rather than what you see in the world, which is so strange to me, but I think it's probably pretty common in the world to just shout at one another and to have, you win with your cutting remark is better than his cutting remark. And but yet when you sit down at a table with people who are calm and you can tell that they really want to resolve whatever it is and get to the bottom of it and try to make it better and communicate about it, and you demonstrate that you love them and they love you. And man, what you said, you just come out on the other side better because you have taken the time, you've prayed together, you've shown one another that you really do care about one another. It's not about winning, it's not about besting one another, but it's about doing what God wants us to do and getting along and helping one another. And
Mhm.
I think it just gives, when we do things the way God wants us to do them, it gives us the opportunity to see one another in a higher plane, in a higher light. And we
Yeah.
don't often get that
Mm.
except when you're around other mature Christians. And sometimes
Mm.
we are the immature Christian and we need to see someone who is a mature Christian show us how to do that. And then we can pass that on. And if you're not learning to be a mature Christian, you're not going to be able to pass that on to somebody else if you don't stick with it and learn how to do it.
That's really good. That's really good. Kind of makes me think about when you think, oh, I want to learn this new skill or this new talent, and I'm going to pursue it, and then you find out how hard it is.
Hmm.
Oh, this is going to take forever. This is way harder than I thought. Forget it. 10 years later, you're like, if I had stuck with that, I'd be an expert by now.
Hmm.
But
Let's not even start talking about diets, okay?
thinking about learning a language or something like that, but because ends up being, first it's just exciting. Yeah, I'll do this. And then you find out what else is involved with it, and then you think, I don't think I want to do that. But if you had and just made those little efforts every single day, 10 years down the road you'd be fluent in
Hmm.
Italian, whatever it is you're wanting to learn.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's similar to that, that at first everything's great, and then, oh, this is hard. I don't think I want to deal with that. But if we do and we push through, 10 years down the road, oh man,
Hmm.
oh, the beauty and the change and the growth and the maturity and
Feeling of self-respect too.
self respect, experiences together, bonds growing and
Hmm.
strengthened, unity, and just so many things.
Hmm.
Um, I called it, I think my next one was similar to what you were just saying, but I called it chops. Like you,
Chops.
self respect. You've got the chops to have an experience and stick with it, to have history with somebody or in an area or in a work because you stuck with it. Um, Another reason is just the payoff. That's kind of some of the things that we've already touched on, things that we may never see if we don't stick with it. Stability, example to others, which you just mentioned, influencing others with that example of maturity. I mean, think about our kids and our grandkids watching how we handle situations
Yeah, that's serious.
and relationships or jobs or other commitments.
Mm-hmm.
And then reliability. Can people count on you when you say you're going to do something that you stick with it?
Mm.
What else you got?
Well, when you just said I want our children and grandchildren are watching, and I think, wow, that's just something that I don't think we think about that often enough. Um, and our kids, maybe our grandchildren, they're not with us as much, obviously, as our kids are when they're growing up. But I think about John's dad and how he was such a forward thinker. He was always um, thinking down the road, like I'm going to need this down the road. We're going to need to have this done. What do I need to do now to prepare for that? I'm not that way. I fly by the seat of my pants, but I admired that so much in him. And
Mhm.
that that came out in John because he watched his dad do it. There's so many things that John is like his dad that I don't think that Grady necessarily got up every morning and said, I'm going to do this so John and Tom will watch me and be like me. I don't think he was doing
That's right.
that,
Yeah.
although I'm sure he was aware that they were watching him. But what about sticking power
Mhm.
and staying when things are tough? There was a country song and I could not find it. Every time I would try to search for different words, country song, stick with it, and all kinds of things come up. And I never could find it.
Oh.
But I remember it talking about, a worn out pair of jeans and how um, I'm going to stay around. I'm not going to leave you. And just
Oh, oh, oh. I know what you're talking about.
you're gonna have to send it to me if you can't think of it now. You have to
Okay.
send it to me later because I
Hmm.
couldn't find it anywhere. But
Hmm.
it used to bring tears to my eyes because
Hmm.
it was very poignant. But just think about how our kids. I mean, there was something in that song about the little boy watching his dad, and
Hmm.
um,
Because he kept that old truck and
yeah, yeah,
hmm.
he didn't get rid of his old truck to get a new one. And sometimes you have to.
Hmm.
There's again, we're gonna have to say this again and again. There are exceptions to everything in here, and every family has to make their own decisions about some of these things. But just don't lose sight of the fact that your kids are watching how you handle relationships and how you handle yourself within the church body and how you handle yourself in your marriage. Because I think we there's cycles. I see this over and over again in different settings, how there's either a vicious cycle and we're contributing to that, where there's dysfunction in the family
Hmm.
and you go on to have the same pattern as your parents had, and then you pass that on to your child. It's the very last thing you want to do, but because you're being selfish about your own behavior, you're passing it on to your kids. And I think that this is one of those areas where that can happen as well.
Hmm. Yeah. And, we keep bringing this up. There's a sense in which we have to have the wisdom to know the difference.
Hmm.
When is it a situation that's worthy of setting aside or walking away from? We've already mentioned a couple of those. And maybe in light of some of the other things that we've talked about, you could think about if it's a scenario that's pulling you away from God, a commitment
Hmm.
or a job or
Yeah.
something that you're involved in, it's making it harder for you to
Hmm.
spend time with God and his people. you know that's worthy of
Don't stick with
considering.
that.
Don't stick
Hmm.
with that. If something's causing you to compromise your faith or your values or whatever, obviously don't stick with that. But those good commitments, determinations that we make, good habits that we know we need to be doing or starting, or whatever it is, that's worthy of sticking with. And I thought about, who do you think is the biggest sticker in the Bible?
Who stuck with things. Um, Well, I think Joseph stuck to God. I don't know. Where are you going with that? Don't
Well,
know.
the first one that came to my mind was Noah,
Okay. 100 years
because
of building
they,
an ark.
that's right.
Hmm.
Talk about not really seeing what this is all about, or slow progress, or this is hard, or maybe he felt like at times I'm the only one, any number of things, but he stuck with it, and it was a
Hmm.
good thing that he did. I thought about others whose either commitments or callings took longer than they probably anticipated. And I thought of Abraham, the promise that was made to him
Hmm.
wasn't fulfilled right away,
Yeah.
but he stayed faithful and he stayed the course. And Moses, when he was called to lead the people by God, probably didn't know all that was ahead of him.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good not to know, right?
That's right. But he stuck with it. We have these examples in the Bible too of those who were stickers, if you will. And they're examples for us. And we pray that the choices that we make show commitment, through the strength of Christ, God's grace, and everything else we need to call upon to help us stay with those things that we've committed to. And the Bible verse that kept going around in my head was 1 Corinthians 15:58. Be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the
Mhm.
work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
Look at you quoting that verse.
I've memorized that one a long time ago. And you know how the ones that you learned when you're younger stay with you forever?
Hmm.
That's one of them.
Yeah. Well, I had written some things down. What makes us want to give up or seek change? Was that kind of one of the things that the
Mm-hmm.
list that you had made?
Yeah.
And
What do
and
you
I
have?
well, I already mentioned the discomfort. We don't like discomfort, so we avoid feeling things. I think sometimes we feel like things will never change. We're just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, and I'm pretty sure you feel this. Sometimes you just feel like you're beating your head against the wall,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's with your husband. Sometimes you're just I can't get him to understand this. I'm just beating my head against the wall. Um, so sometimes I think with a situation like that, are we thinking that this all depends on me? Or am I learning to ask God for help with this and rely on his power instead of my own? That was just something that came to mind. Um, I wrote down, are my feelings hurt? Have I misunderstood something? And really, I know we can't go on and on about this. So what I really kind of summed it up in, as far as maybe a way to resolve all of this, is to learn to communicate, because
Mm-hmm.
so many of these things are due
So
to a lack of
true.
communication. As
Yes.
if your feelings are hurt, is it because there's a misunderstanding? Is it because you need to put your big girl pants on? I managed to stop myself. Um, just so many times there's things that can be solved if we just will sit down with someone and take a deep breath and pray together and learn to say, I'm sorry for my part, not I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry for my part and what happened, and let's try to work through this. And just learning to communicate in a positive and an uplifting and encouraging and helpful way. Some people are gifted in communication, but it's not in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
But learning to communicate, I think I didn't pull this out, but I think I could find it and share it next week. Some suggestions that we have in that we use for marriage enrichment weekends and things about communication and ways to improve your communication. And I think it would be helpful, not just in a marriage situation, but in any kind of
Yeah, that'd be
situation.
a great conversation.
Mhm. I thought about Galatians 6:9. Don't
Mm-hmm.
grow weary of doing good. In due season, I can't quote it like you did, but in due season we'll reap if we don't give up. That's my paraphrase.
If we faint not.
And that's the King James version.
I think so.
Don't. So that's the sum up of the episode. Faint not,
Faint not.
sweet women.
And how, maybe if when we come to that moment and our emotions are screaming really loud to us, I do feel like I'm beating my head up against the wall. This is going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried, this is hopeless. When all of those kinds of thoughts come in, it really is good to try and step back prayerfully and objectively, try to isolate the issue and
Yeah.
and call it and name it.
Mm-hmm.
What some of the examples that you gave, is this a case where my feelings are hurt? Is there a sin that's at the root of the problem here? Is there miscommunication? Step back objectively and wade through all of those emotions and feelings and get to the root of the problem. And then you'll know how to proceed
Mm-hmm.
biblically, because God will have something to say about that in his word.
Yeah. A lot of times there's more than one reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in a, say in a church setting situation where we're tempted to give up, there may be multiple reasons, but I think it's helpful to separate them out and decide which one is the worst to me. What
Mm-hmm.
is driving this? What is driving my desire to get out of the situation? Is it really this issue of sin, or is it an issue of that my feelings were hurt about something? Is it,
Mm-hmm.
separate it out, and I think also just really finding those mentors that you trust, not an echo chamber. It's really easy to find one of those, but find someone that you trust that will
That can help you
give
see it
you
objectively.
right.
Yeah.
And that's probably not afraid to help you see it objectively
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to receive that. That's the hardest thing I think for me,
Mm-hmm.
is that if someone, I don't receive correction very well. I've struggled with that all of my life. I still struggle
Mm-hmm.
with that. But it makes such a difference in how it's offered.
Yeah.
If it's screamed at you or um, passively aggressively delivered to you, whatever, it's going to send people running the other way. But lovingly
Yeah.
and gently offered, I think people see that, people realize it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of drifted away from
We did.
topic.
That's okay. We can do what we want.
We're just having a discussion, right?
That's right. Faint not,
Sweet women.
sweet women, and also ourselves.
Yeah,
All right. Anything else on this topic? What were we
probably there's
talking
a
about?
lot. Stickers in the yard.
Stickers.
No, I'm
Oh.
done. I'm done.
Okay. Do you have something good for us?
I do. I think you're going to be excited about it. You may already have seen it
Ooh.
before. Have you seen this movie theater butter spray?
No.
Okay. So when you shared that um, popcorn popper, pull your pin out for the
That's it.
popcorn popper.
Mhm.
This was right next to the popcorn kernels. The brand
Hmm.
is Kernel Seasons, but it's movie theater butter flavored spritzer.
Is that 0 points on Weight Watchers?
I don't know about 0 points, but there's a big
Zero
fat zero
calories.
calories.
There's all zeros back there. How bad can it be?
But I mean, if you spray it 72 times on your popcorn, it's probably not 0 calories. But it's an aerosol and it says sprayed from 8 to 10 inches away. And
Hmm.
you can either, it says you can drip it, stream it, or spray it. I just spray it. But it, you salt your popcorn or you spray it with a little of this, your salt sticks to it a little bit better, and it really does taste like butter. It's not
I'm
as good as
excited.
movie theater.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's way
Yeah, I
better than
figured.
my olive oil cooking
Yeah,
spray and
yeah.
butter spray. And
So I don't know about points, but it's
hmm,
0 calories, zero fat,
I
zero
bet it's
saturated fat.
0 points. That is a good one.
Um, and that's for a fourth of a second spray.
Wow.
So you have to measure the 0.25 seconds you can spray it.
You get your
There's
stopwatch
200
out.
and there's 284 servings per container.
So that means
So
it'll last about 3 popcorn batches.
yeah.
All
Anyway,
right, so
it's
mine
pretty good.
is after you eat your popcorn, you're gonna need a Colgate whisk. Have you seen
Oh,
these?
is it a floss?
No. This is a disposable toothbrush that comes with the toothpastey stuff on it. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I have had those. I travel with them sometimes.
Okay, I've never even heard of these, but when we
Mhm.
were in Hilton Head, Joyce Johnson had them in her purse.
Mhm.
And I thought this was the most genius
Yeah.
thing ever. I can think of road trips, flights, you know, having a cup of coffee with somebody
When
and
your teeth feel fuzzy.
yes, and or um just cooking in the camp kitchen all
Yeah.
day long, and about halfway through you're like, I
Ugh.
wish I could run in the bathroom and brush my teeth. And it's got this little drop of refreshment. It says
Mhm.
that it dissolves in there. But the best thing about it is it also has like a little pick on the other
Toothpick.
side.
Mhm.
The best thing about it is you can swallow it. You don't have to spit anything out.
That would be
So it's
painful to swallow that.
not this. Oh wow. The you don't have to spit. So,
Yeah.
if you are in your car or whatever,
Mhm.
it's just really easy to use and it's
Okay to swallow.
safe for kids ages 4 and up, I believe it said. But when when she pulled that out, I was like, oh, what is that?
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it before. So
I had
Colgate
forgotten
Wisp.
about those. Yeah, they sometimes you can find them individually packaged, and I'll stick one in your travel
Yeah,
bag.
that's what
But
she said. She said sometimes they're individually packed. This one
mhm.
comes with like the back of it opens up and
Nice.
reseals.
Yeah,
So
keep them in your car.
mhm, mhm.
That was a good something good for you.
Yes. All right. Well, and a good conversation. I enjoyed catching up with you after a couple weeks. I missed you.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to have you visit us at the Looking Up page on Facebook, Looking Up with Kathy and Carla. Let us hear from you. We love you and pray for you. And Carla, until next time.
Keep looking up.
All right. Love you, friend.
Me too. Sorry for yawning.
I forgive you. Bye.
Bye.